Hi.
Hi. So in today's video, we're swapping out foam in cushions. We got one nice big comfy armchair cushion and two patio chair
Well,
cushions.
this is going to be exciting.
And I got Lucy along with me for questions and commentary.
Me.
So as mentioned in the intro, we are replacing the foam in these cushions. Here's the armchair cushion. And then we have two patio chair cushions, one for an ottoman and one for the seat.
Foam. Big foam. Humongous foam.
Step one, take the old cushion out. This chair it's an older chair, and the quality's pretty darn good on this. When you see that liner, um, especially with the zipper, that's a good sign that it's a nice chair.
Yeah, Dad. What are you doing right now?
So I got the foam custom cut from my supplier, so that I don't have to try and cut it. The cuts are just nice and clean and straight. They do it on a big CNC machine, and then I don't have to do it by hand.
What is that white stuff?
That's polyester batting. Um, when I do furniture for chairs like this, interior furniture, um, where we want kind of a nice plump look, I'll do two layers of this batting. So right now I'm doing what I consider the first layer, and then we'll do a second layer over the top.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What is that?
So if you watched the last video, you
Yeah.
saw that my glue gun was getting a little rough. This is my new system. I'm using um, these tanks of aerosol glue, and actually works quite a bit better as far as a consistent spray and coverage. Cost is a little bit higher though, for sure,
Okay.
but product is better in the end.
Yeah.
So we got that base layer on, trim it up, get it nice and clean, and then we will put the second layer on.
Why are you putting two layers on?
Like I said, I want it to look nice and plump when I put it back into that slip cover, into the fabric. So this gives us that look.
Why are you putting it back into um the thing?
The slip cover, the
Yeah.
original fabric, because the fabric's in good shape. They don't want to reupholster the chair. They just don't like that it's too soft of a sit. So we're doing a firmer sit, firmer foam.
So there was like 7 layers of foam last time. Like before you redid
Maybe. I don't know. So now
it.
it's done. We're putting that liner back on. Liner's in great shape. Slow and steady. This liner is really nice. It's got a zipper. Usually you have to hand sew the liner shut, but this one's got a zipper. Really, really handy. Zip that back up. Already looking nice and crisp and clean. Give it a nice blow down. Make sure there's no dust or dirt on it.
Putting the slip cover back on. I think
That's
that's what
right.
it's called. I don't know.
That's right.
I am not my dad, so
That's considered a slip cover for the cushion.
which is a really pretty pattern. I like that.
Yeah, nice yellow plaid.
It reminds me of mom. Your favorite color, yellow.
So when we get these in there, we go around, make sure all the edges are nice, make sure the welting's in good shape and in the right order. Order?
Yeah.
Sometimes the seam allowance can get turned the other way, and it's important to make sure it's all facing the right direction so that it's nice and straight. Then, while it's clean and looking good, wrap it up in plastic. Set it to the side, and
Why are you wrapping it up in plastic and taping?
so that I don't have to worry about it getting dirty.
Mm,
Now we got the
smart.
patio cushions here. I don't see a lot of these, and you'll see why in a second here. But these are also sewn shut, so a little bit harder to get out.
Dang it.
Here's why we don't get a lot of them: $36, and you can see here you got a chunk of batting, and then about an inch and a half thick piece of soft foam with a very small amount of glue that didn't hold.
Yeah, why is there just a circle and
It's about speed at these factories, so it's not necessarily, they're not worried about the longevity, the quality. They're worried about getting it done as fast as possible, so that stays at that $37 price range.
so you're gonna put some more glue in that?
Yep, same as the other chair. We're gonna get it done nice. Now you can see the thickness of the foam that I'm replacing it with versus what it was. And now this is just the ottoman. The seat cushion's a little bit bigger.
What is that stuff? Now why are you spraying it on that?
I ordered these pre-cut again, but I didn't know what the radius was going to be, so I'm cutting the radius in. This is a foam saw. I put a little silicone spray on there so it cuts nice and quick and easy, and I don't have to try and force it through.
That's a perfect cut.
We're doing more batting on there again, more polyester, gluing it on again.
Okay, what's that white stuff called again?
That's polyester batting.
Polyester potting. Is that what it is?
Polyester batting with a B.
Okay.
Trim it up, get it looking nice.
That's a really good cut.
And then I save a bag of scraps for stuff like this. I didn't have a big enough piece to go on the edges, so I have a piece of scrap. If we can save a little bit, this stuff doesn't, it's not biodegradable. So we want to try and use and reuse as much of this stuff as possible. And I try to keep all my scraps that are big enough to be used.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the seat piece, the seat foam. It's got a curved front, curved back, and tapered sides, so a little bit tricky of a shape, but we just glue it, cut it, trim it, and use them scraps to fill any empty spots.
Okay.
Wow, I'm fast.
You're Sonic.
So for quick reference here, the foam alone to replace these 3 cushions was about $250.
What?
Just the material. So that $37 from Amazon is quite a difference.
Yeah, I can see why that's quite a difference.
Now again, like I said, these are hand sewn on the back, which makes that opening really small, unlike that zipper cushion we saw at first. So
Zipper is way better.
Way easier.
Wait, yeah, easier.
I would say better too, but you know, the fabric's there. The client liked the fabric. We want to keep it. She didn't want to spend too much by manipulating that slip cover and adding a zipper, so we're gonna make it work.
Okay.
Now I'm wrapping that in that silk film, and I'll show you why in a second here. Because that opening is small and that cushion is big, I have a trick.
What's your trick?
I wrap the cushion in that silk film, and then
Why are you vacuuming it?
vacuum seal it and shrink it down.
Oh.
It shrinks way down.
What happened to it?
Gets about half the size.
Daddy, it's a mouse.
And then I
It's the
can
size of a
get in the
China
back of
Christmas.
these slip covers without ripping anything or having to force too much.
Are you gonna put the slip cover back on with the plastic on?
No. So I put it in there, and then I think I'll show it here, but I remove the plastic after. The reason I remove the plastic is because if you leave that in there and you go to sit on it, it's like sitting on a balloon.
And you don't want it to pop on your
That's right.
butt.
All right. So now that's in there, and I can release the vacuum seal on that plastic. Watch this. Wait for it.
Whoa. It just went to wrinkles to straight, like to no wrinkles.
Yeah. And then Then the hard part is working all that plastic back out. It's a bit of a pain, but would be much worse to just try and jam that cushion in without vacuuming that up.
Okay, why are you sticking your arm up?
Pulling out the plastic.
Oh! I can see
And if you go gently, you can reuse this stuff. So you can see I'm reusing it for the second cushion.
now. Okay. Why are you reusing it?
Well, we try to save everything we can. It doesn't
Yeah.
pay to waste. The
Okay.
plastic's still fine. All it's got to do is vacuum that cushion up. All right, now we got to sew these back up. And these are my T-pins. I call them stabby tees because they have a little bend in them.
Don't stab it in your skin, though.
And
Careful.
I buy the T-pins and I bend them. I think it's easier to put them into something like this. It is also easier to get stabbed with them.
Then you should call them T-bendies.
I call them stabby tees.
Well, call them T-bendies.
Well, the name's up for discussion.
Oh, wow.
All right, a little close up. Pinch the fabric. Make sure that the edge of that fabric's in. Put your stabby tee in. Move it around. See how easy that is with that bend?
Yeah, but are you ever gonna take them out, or?
Yep. So we're gonna sew this up once it goes over to the sewing machine, and I'll slowly take them out as I sew along.
Yeah. Okay. So how are you?
This is a different method here, so I wanted to show both methods. This one, I put a stabby tee in there in the middle, and then I use this stapler. It's like a stapler you'd use for paper, but it's handheld. Doesn't sit on a desk. And I go along that seam, and I can staple it as opposed to putting pins in. Now I got to come back and remove all these
I feel
staples.
like that's a staple for paper. That just looks exactly like a staple for paper.
Yeah, well, it is, but it's doing fabric this time around.
Well, fabric is not paper, is it?
It is not.
So why are you using it for fabric?
It's mixed use. It can do both.
Staples are strong.
All right. Now we're over to the sewing machine. Now this is the worst possible thing to sew ever in the history of upholstery. Sewing these cushions up while the cushion's in there. You need 4 hands, strong hands. Then you got to press the foot pedal. You got to hold the cushion straight while it's pushing against the side of the machine. And then you got to hold the seams where they are. Pull back on the top part of the cushion. Listen, it's as close to witchcraft as you can get, and I can't stand it. I'm sure there's better machines made just for this, but I don't have it.
Well, Daddy, we're all glad you can do it.
Thank you.
And also, by your face, I can tell it's very hard.
Thank you, I think. Maybe I should have cropped that part out.
That face.
It's really hard.
Well, you know how to do. Well, at least you can do it. Yeah, at least you're strong. Oof,
Wow,
that
that
face.
looks painful. It is painful. I remember it. It's like watching a scary movie. All right, it's sewn up. Just trimming off all the extra thread.
What'd you do with all the T-bendies?
I take them out as I sew.
I did not see that.
This might have been the one with the staples.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's in. You can see the seam looks okay, but I like it to look a little bit better. So I got one more step to show you.
Oh, I'm excited.
And I think it is a nice little touch. as opposed to kind of having a kind of good seam.
Mm. Sit back, relax.
Okay, here we go. Ready? See? It's okay. Not bad. What I like to do
Does it really look good?
is do
Gonna fix it or not?
yes,
Okay.
I am. Because this is a hard seam to sew, it is really difficult to keep looking good. So if you get a little slack here, slack there, with at least with my setup, it's truly impossible. So what I do is just do a quick hand stitch over the top of it, get it looking nice and clean.
Like I said, we're all so glad you can do it, though.
Thank you.
But by that face, oh wait, there's something in your mouth that you're holding with it. Okay.
That's where you keep your needle when you're not sewing.
Aren't you gonna poke your mouth with the needle?
No.
Okay. String. More string.
Just another view here. We're stitching through. And I'm doing kind of like a half slip here. So I go around the needle. It puts a little bit of a half a square knot in there, I guess you would call it. I'm not really sure the term. I just do it.
I know we can't see your face,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing your face is like.
No, this is actually peaceful.
So it's not like sewing.
Well, sewing
I
is
think-
peaceful for the most part, except when you're sewing this on a machine. So now we have the machine stitch on there, which we know is going to be durable, and then we're just putting this hand stitch on there for aesthetics. We want it to look good. See how that cleans that up?
Yeah. I have eyes steady. I have eyes.
It doesn't matter too much because it goes on the inside back of a patio cushion. It'll never be seen again, but you know,
I know what.
we want it to look good.
Okay.
Wrapped up. There's the other cushion, ready to